Gene Campbell, founder of Oyster Bayou Hunting Club in Anahuac, Texas. We've been in business since 1974, serving waterfowlers. I met Joe Lagow in 1966. He was the head honcho of Barrow Ranch. It was 20,000 acres. It was a rice farm, a cattle ranch, and it had some marsh. And during the harvest season, he wouldn't allow any hunting in the rice fields because he interfered with and knocked down rice. So everybody went to the marsh and hunted teal season most of the first part of the season down there. So that was his management technique. You would walk into his check-in station. He'd have a great big map of the ranch. He had a pool cue, and he'd meet you, introduce himself. Where you think we ought to go hunting? He said, well, he'd get up there and touch on that map. It's a pretty good place over here, and this one, that one right there. And best thing you need to do is just go out there and walk out in that marsh and watch a little bit. If you see the ducks going somewhere, you go there too. He had a bunch of blinds out there that people could walk to. If you had a boat, you could paddle a boat out or a canoe or whatever you wanted to do there. But everybody liked him. Real fair man, real good. Wetland and high ground manager. Had the best rest area I have ever seen anywhere. Had it every year. It was in the same place. We'd see geese come down, and they would be the first geese that would come down. They'd be so high you could only hear them. You couldn't even see them. And where would they go? Even if that rest area was not already flooded, they would go straight into that rest area. So he flooded that rest area. Had a Mexican that worked for him, and that was his full-time job, was keeping the water in that rest area. Had an agreement with the canal company. He had the water rights on that Onion Bayou right there, so told the water company, if you guys will get me water from my duck hunters in my rest area, you can have the water from my water rights and sell it to the rice farmers. So everything he ever did was a handshake. So when I went to work, I hunted there. I got to tell you a story about him. It's about me, but it's about him. So, a friend of mine, longtime friend and fellow guide, started guiding the same year together, David Hanson. He and I go in there, and Joe points up on that stick, you need to go out here. There've been a lot of ducks and geese over in this area right here. So it's pitch black. It was about 4:30 in the morning. That's when he opened his gate. So we took off. We drove down there, parked the car as far down as we could get it, and heard the geese and the ducks. And we kept walking, crossed a fence, found out later shouldn't have, and hunted. We shot a limit of ducks and geese. We had cloth rags for the goose decoys. And by the time we got all of that stuff and the ducks and geese gathered up and put in the car, we didn't get out of there till about 1:30. You're supposed to be at that gate by noon. He said, you boys, I don't ever want y'all to come back in this ranch. You can't follow the rules. That's all there is to it. And he looked in the bed of the truck. He said, where'd you get all these? I said, we went over there on that side over there, and there was a fence. We crossed that fence. He said, you were on the Jackson Ranch. So y'all get on out of here. Of course, he had my name and phone number. About 2 days later, he called me up. He said, hey, that looked like a pretty good hunt. You know not to go across that fence again, don't you? And I said, yeah, I know. I'll never break the rule again. We just underestimated everything. Got excited. He said, y'all come back whenever you want to. So and we did. We came and hunted several more times before I ever started guiding. I met another guide that was hunting on that property, had some ponds, and that's who I went to work for. So I got to be around Joe a lot the first 3 years because I came through the top gate, and I would see him every morning. And such a consistent guy. He was a county commissioner. He was responsible for protecting the Oyster Bayou waterway. You can't shoot on the Oyster Bayou waterway. Closed the deer season in this area right here, and grew a heck of a herd of deer in this area. As a matter of fact, in that picture right there, that's Frances. She had 7 sets of twins right here in this house next door. All of that part of the population of the deer that are still here, but you're getting to be too many people, so that herd's diminished again. We quit feeding them here because it was drawing them across the street and they were getting run over. So we leave them alone, but we see them back here all the time.
How old were you when you went on that first hunt and jumped the fence?
66, so 18.
What do you think made him call you back a couple days later?
He's looking in the back of that truck and knowing where we were. We were way out there, and I think he enjoyed the fact that we didn't leave anything out there. All those white rags were soaking wet, and it took us 2 or 3 trips to get all that stuff back.
So he saw in you guys some fortitude, some drive.
Yeah.
And he was probably looking for help.
He was, but I did not go to work for him for the first 3 years. I was with that other outfitter who was also on that property. So I did hunt on that property and saw him for those first 3 years. When I got to a point where I felt like I could not do this anymore as a hobby for financial reasons, I sat down and I talked to Joe. I said, Joe, I can't make a living doing this. He said, I know you can't. He said, you probably ought to go ahead and start a business. If you're really interested in this, what you're doing right now is not good for your family.
And so you would have been 21 or so at the time that you realized that this hunting thing that I'm doing is really for fun. It's not paying the bills.
So that would have been 66, 76, 10 years later. So 28.
So you were 28.
Yeah.
So you got it sort of part-time for 10 years?
No. So 66 is the first time I went on the ranch.
Okay.
The first time I got it was 74. So 74, I established a relationship with Forrest West. 74, 75, 76. So 76, I sat down with Joe and had that talk. I knew that first year was like a dream. I would have got it for free. I told Forrest, I said, look, I'll get it for free if you want me to, if you need some help. That's another story right there.
We'll catch that one on the next trip.
Yeah.
How about this one? Growing up, running around with your buddies out in the fields, watching the birds, did you ever think that, you know how most kids say, well, I'm going to be a fireman, or I'm going to be a doctor, or I'm going to be an astronaut. Did you ever say to yourself, I'm going to be a professional duck hunting guy?
Yeah. Started feeling that way about 1966. So I duck hunted from 66 until 74 when I started guiding. It was all duck hunting. We'd hunt every day. I hunted before 66 too, a long time before 66. But 66, that's about when I felt like I could take somebody on that Barrow Ranch and put the decoys out there and show them a good time. And they would pay me money.
And you were 18?
Yeah.
And that was it?
Yeah. Kids are, I think they're more exposed now to waterfowling and duck hunting. Duck hunting is cool. back then it just wasn't a thing. You know, playing football was cool. And people that didn't play football, they went duck hunting. But it's cool now, and social media is one of the reasons. I don't. It's certainly not better, but it's more popular.
I mean, look at the spread of pictures there. There's a lot of kids in there.
You bet. That's the best part about it right there. My son's in there, and as a little bitty boy, in several places, I started carrying him hunting. He was that tall. He loves hunting. Oh my gosh. Well, you know Chris. There he is with his first shotgun right there. 410 Remington pump.